Hi, good day everyone. I am Teacher Rodney, and today I will present a policy analysis of one of the Republic Act here in the Philippines, and that is the Republic Act 8545, or known as the Enhanced Government Assistance to Students and Teachers in Private Education. So, please watch this. Republic Act 8545, or the Expanded Government Assistance to Students and Teachers in Private Education Act, or the e-GAST. Analysis of the Republic Act. Section 3. Criteria for Assistance. The programs for assistance shall be based on a set of criteria which shall include, among others, tuition fees charged by the schools, the socio-economic needs of each region giving priority to the social reform agenda provinces, overall performance of the schools, the academic qualifications, and the financial needs of the students and the teachers, and the financial needs of the schools, as well as the geographic spread and size of the population. Section 5. Tuition fee supplements for students in private high schools. Financial assistance for tuition for students in private high schools shall be provided by the government through a voucher system in the following manner. So that is letter A. For students enrolled in schools, charging an amount as may be determined by the State Assistance Council, the government shall provide them with a voucher in such an amount as may be determined by the Council, provided that the government shall reimburse the vouchers from the schools concerned within 120 days from the close of the registration period. Assistance under paragraph 1 and subparagraph A shall be guaranteed to all private high schools participating in the program for a number of slots as of the effectivity of this act as the total numbers of students who availed of tuition fee supplements for school year 1997 to 1998, provided that the State Assistance Council may in subsequent years determine additional slots and or additional participating high schools as may be deemed necessary. Section 6. High School Textbook Assistance Fund. There shall be established in the Department of Education, Culture and Sports a High School Textbook Assistance Fund so that assistance on a per-student basis shall be given to students enrolled in private school exclusively for the purchase of high school textbooks in support of the implementation of the Secondary Education Development Program, provided that the textbook assistance per student in private high schools shall be determined by the Council and shall not exceed what students in public high schools are provided on a per student basis, provided further that the textbook assistance shall be granted only to beneficiaries of tuition fee supplements and educational service contracting scheme provided in this Act. Section 7. Expansion of the existing educational service contracting scheme. The Department of Education, Culture and Sports shall continue to enter contracts with private schools whereby the government shall shoulder the tuition and other fees of high school students who shall enroll in private high schools under this program. Section 8. Assistance to college freshmen. The existing Private Education Student Financial Assistance, or the PESFA program, which covers degree and non-degree vocational technical courses, shall be expanded so that all qualified enrolling first-year students can benefit from a scholarship plus an allowance. Tuition waiver. Private post-secondary vocational and technical institutions and higher educational institutions shall provide for full or half tuition waivers for 5% of the entering freshmen, which shall include, among others, valedictorians and salutatorians of both public high schools and private high schools, provided that those valedictorians and salutatorians meet admission tests of the schools concerned. Allowances for valedictorians. Subject to rules and regulation as may be promulgated by the State Assistance Council, valedictorians referred to under subparagraph B above may, in addition to tuition waivers granted by the school concerned, be entitled to such allowances from the government as are provided to PESFA grantees, provided they shall enroll in priority courses. Allowance for other honorees. In case the graduating class is composed of more than 250 students, all salutatorians and first honorable mention graduates thereof may also be entitled to the allowance granted to valedictorians under the preceding paragraph. Section 9. Further assistance to students in private colleges and universities. Tuition fee supplements for students of private post-secondary, vocational and technical institutions, and higher educational institutions enrolled in priority course programs determined by the TESDA and the CHED shall be provided by the government through a voucher system. Section 10. Education Loan Fund, or the Study Now, Pay Later Plan. There is hereby created a special fund to be known as the Students' Loan Fund, to be administered by the CHED and the TESDA, or upon delegation by the CHED, by the Student Loan Fund Authority, created under Republic Act No. 6014, which is hereby reinstituted pursuant to the terms of the same Republic Act, which shall be used to finance educational loans, to cover matriculation and other school fees, and educational expenses for book subsistence and board and lodging. Section 11. The right of any student to avail himself or herself of the benefits under this Act shall not apply if he or she fails for one school year in most of the academic subjects in which he or she has enrolled during the course of his or her study, unless such failure is due to some valid cause beyond his or her control. Section 12. In-Service Training Fund, or the INSET Fund. For the purpose of improving the quality of teaching in private secondary education, there is hereby established in the Department of Education, Culture and Sports an INSET Fund to provide for the upgrading of knowledge and teaching competencies in critical subject areas and for the modernization of teaching techniques and strategies, including training in the use of computers and of other multimedia educational technologies to assist instruction, provided that the INSET Fund shall be available only to qualified licensed teachers in participating private high schools as determined by the State Assistance Council, provided further that the amount of INSET Fund available to private secondary education shall not exceed that available to public secondary education on a per capita basis. Section 13. College Faculty Development Fund. For the purpose of improving the quality of teaching in private post-secondary, vocational and technical institutions and higher educational institutions, there is hereby established in the TESDA and the CHED a College Faculty Development Fund to provide for scholarships for graduate degree and non-degree workshops, or seminars for faculty members in private post-secondary vocational and technical institutions and higher educational institutions, provided that faculty member recipients of such scholarships shall serve as many number of years return service for every year of scholarship availed of as may be determined by the State Assistance Council in conformity with the prevailing National Economic and Development Authority or NEDA policies on return service of government scholars. Section 14. Teacher Salary Subsidy Fund. A Teacher Salary Subsidy Fund is hereby established in the DEX to grant government subsidy to teachers in private high schools participating in the programs of assistance provided in this Act, provided that the total amount salary, which includes the subsidy to be received by such private high school teachers, shall not be more than 80% of the salary of his counterpart in the public sector. Provided further that the amount of monthly subsidy shall not exceed the amount of any monthly salary increase that teachers in public high schools shall after the effectivity of this Act hereinafter receive. Findings. Number 1. The amount of financial assistance is based on a set of criteria such as social reform agenda provinces, overall performance of the schools, academic qualifications, and financial needs of the students and teachers, financial needs of the schools, geographic spread, and size of the student population. 2. The students who can avail of the assistance are those enrolled in the schools which have accredited programs or are applying for accreditation. 3. There is an intended number of slots as to the number of students who can avail the assistance. 4. For high school textbook assistance fund, the amount of assistance given to the students enrolled in private high schools are provided on a per student basis and only to beneficiaries of tuition fee and educational contracting scheme. 5. In educational contracting scheme, DepEd or DEX enter contract with private schools and the tuition fee shouldered does not exceed the per student cost in public high schools. 6. Voucher system of private education student financial assistance program covers degree and non-degree vocational technical courses. Coordination between DEX or DepEd, CHED, TESDA in selection of deserving underprivileged students based on family income, geographic spread, and result of competitive examination. 7. In education loan fund or the study now pay later plan, the interest rate of not more than 6% per annum shall accrue on the balance. 8. InSet fund shall be available only to qualified licensed teachers in participating private high schools, and the amount of InSet fund available to private secondary education shall not exceed with that available to the public secondary education. 9. In Teacher Salary Subsidy Fund, the subsidy to be received by the private high school teachers shall not be more than 80% of the salary of the counterpart in public sector. Other findings. Number 1. DEX or DepEd is the primary implementer of the programs in partnership with TESDA, CHED, and other agencies. 2. DepEd lacks necessary mechanisms to ensure proper administration of e-GASPE. 3. Private Education Assistance Committee or the PIAC has no authority to manage GASPE. 4. Shortage of budget for the government assistance and subsidy. 1 billion pesos is appropriated under General Appropriation Act of 1998 for this program. 5. There is no intended slots for ALS graduates. And 6. GASPE needs to be publicized. Many people, particularly in the rural areas, are unaware of this program of the government. Pragmatic implications. Limited slots are only given to recipient schools. Not all deserving students applying for the programs will be accommodated even though they are qualified for it. Because of this, there is a possibility that availing the assistance will be prone to palakasan system or the home you know principle. The amount of financial assistance differs from one region to another based on the criteria. There will be a tendency that the assistance given is not enough to pay all the fees in the school. Not all private schools can be recognized as accredited schools for this program. There are only selected recognized schools in the country. For those unrecognized schools, no chance for their students and teachers to avail of the program. The program is only limited for private secondary schools and not for private elementary schools. Likewise, the assistance given for the recipient students for textbook assistance is not more than with that of the public high school students, which means possibly not enough to pay the total amount of books used in private high schools. The same is true with the tuition fee shouldered by the program under the Educational Service Contracting Scheme. The voucher system of PESFA program have criteria and selection of scholars. Better coordination between DepEd, TESDA, and CHED should be done to implement effectively the programs. Graduate students under the Study Now Pay Later program will pay their loan with high interest. InSet fund is intended only for private high schools and not for private elementary schools. Licensed private elementary teachers cannot avail the assistance and the fund is not enough, same with the intended budget for the public secondary education. Private school teachers as recipients to Teacher Salary Subsidy Fund receive lesser salary, and that is not more than 80% of the salary of the private school teachers. For example, if public school teachers receive 20,000 pesos, 80% of it is 16,000 pesos. Therefore, the private school teacher recipient will receive not more than 16,000 pesos salary subsidy. Aside from the too much work of DepEd, this program was given to DepEd to manage. The formation of State Assistance Council headed by the DepEd Secretary as chairperson, co-chairpersons are the CHED Chair and the TESDA Director General. Members are the NEDA, DBM, DOST representatives, and the last three from the Association of Student Teachers and School Administrators. DepEd need for consistency in the work of the composite team and need to establish a dedicated and adequately staffed Project Management Office or PMO. The PIAC are hardly coordinated committee formed from the different associations of private schools. It is questioned for its public entity. 1 billion pesos is appropriated under GAA of 1998 as stipulated in this Republic Act, which is a very minimal amount to cover the bigger number of recipient private schools, students, and teachers. Alternative learning system graduates are not belong to the possible recipients of this program. Those ALS graduates who wants to enroll in a degree or a technical vocational course cannot avail the assistance or subsidy under this program. Lastly, GASPE or e-GASPE should be publicized to make it known to people in every corner of the country. A well-informed people, more well-deserved students can avail the said assistance of the government. Recommendations. First, provide sufficient slots for more deserving students and teachers to avail the assistance or subsidy. Second, make the assistance sufficient to pay in full the tuition and book fees of the recipients. Third, recognize all private schools as accredited schools for the government assistance and subsidy program. Fourth, amend the Republic Act. Include also the private elementary schools, teachers and pupils, all students and graduates, indigenous people, and increase the annual budget for the program. Fifth, better coordination between DepEd, CHED, and TESDA should be done for effective implementation. Sixth, for Study Now, Pay Later program, make a reasonable interest rate for the loan of the recipient of the program. 7. For the recipients of salary subsidy, make the amount given to the teachers same with the entry-level salary of the public school teachers. 8. Need to establish a dedicated, adequately staffed PMO that will manage the GASPE. The management shall place enough manpower in all levels of governance for the administration of GASPE, monitoring and evaluation, and adherence to the payment schedule. 9th, DepEd will seek from the Office of the President a confirmation that indeed Private Education Assistance Committee or PIAC is public in nature. 10th, publication of e-GASPE to the newspapers, magazines, televisions, radios, social media is needed to make people aware of this Republic Act and the programs under this act.
There you have it. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you learned from this video. God bless everyone. See ya.